In everyone's youth, there lives a boy or a girl who did not dare to confess at that time. Some misses and turns around for a lifetime. No one could have predicted that this youth film costing only $30 million would create a box office miracle of $350 million. The film won the Taiwanese box office championship in one fell swoop after its release. After watching this film, many people want to go back to their youth and find the person he or she used to be. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 years have passed since this drama, and it still leaves a deep impression on many people's hearts. Without further ado, today I will take you to review this 2015 youth love movie, Our Times. The story begins with Lin Jinshin's workplace work. As an adult, Lin Jinshin lived a very depressing life in the urban workplace. As a middle-level member of the company, she has to endure the unreasonable oppression of her boss, such as being asked to work endless overtime, take on additional work tasks, and face ridicule from her subordinates behind her back, and is privately called Old Aunt. She treats the company as a family, and the company treats her as a beast. Colleagues think that people like her are also quite pitiful. Her love life is also unsatisfactory, and although her boyfriend looks handsome, he doesn't love her at all. The lack of sincere emotional communication between the two made her disappointed in reality. After Lin Jinshin returned home, he dug out the classmate record when he graduated from high school. The classmates record records the messages and photos of high school classmates. Every name, every smiling face, evokes her memories of campus life. This reminded her of the school bully Ouyang Feifei, the school bully Su Taiyu, and the youth full of laughter and tears. At an accidental moment, Lin Jinshin heard Andy Lau's Forgetfulness Water playing on the radio. Andy Lau was her idol as a girl, and this song carries many memories of her high school days. This familiar melody was like a key, instantly opening the floodgates of her memory, making her thoughts involuntarily drift back to the Taiwanese high school campus in the 90s of the last century. The girl Lin Jinshin was woken up by the harsh alarm clock, washed in a panic, had messy hair, and hurriedly prepared to go out with a mouthful of toothpaste foam. The coaxing of several teenagers outside the door made her mistakenly think that she was praising herself, and she pursed her lips and smiled shyly. However, the teenagers went straight to the beautiful and elegant Tao Minmin behind her. From here we can see Lin Jinshin's ordinary and inconspicuous. In those days, what students looked forward to most was meeting their idols. I don't know why, but the girl at that time had the illusion that whoever kept the most photos was the most qualified to marry him. What they do every day is some extremely boring stupid things. There is such a boy in every girl's youth, and his frown and smile touch the girl's nerves. And Ouyang Feifei is the male god of all the girls in the school. One look of his will make Lin Jinshin smirk all day long. On that campus where love letters were flying all over the sky, Lin Jinshin received a letter like an iron tree blooming, but it was not a love letter, but a lucky letter. That is also known as a curse letter. The letter requires that the recipient of the letter must copy it 5 times and send it to others, otherwise it will be doomed. At that time, she saw that the school bully Su Taiyu was bullying her crush, the academic bully Ouyang Feifei. In order to protect Ouyang Feifei and avoid her own bad luck, Lin Jinshin sent the lucky letter to 3 people. They are the bastard, a math teacher who teaches strictly and fiercely, Tao Minmin, the school flower who has always been favored by Ouyang, and Su Taiyu, the school bully who bullies Ouyang. But what she never expected was that bad luck would really befall Su Taiyu. When Su Taiyu found the letter in his bag, he happened to be suddenly hit by a car. This incident surprised Lin Jinshin very much. This can annoy Su Taiyu, and he is bound to find the person who cursed him. On this day, the school organized a class meeting, and Su Taiyu's men found the letter in the table hole of Lin Jinshin in the classroom. He concluded that the letter must be related to this girl named Lin Jinshin. At the end of school, his younger brother stopped Lin Jinshin and forcibly brought her to Su Taiyu and questioned her on the spot. At that time, the lights in the house were dim, and the atmosphere was tense. Su Taiyu sat on the sofa, full of aura. Lin Jinshin saw it and was so frightened that he almost cried. Su Taiyu looked at her with a smile, already knowing that she was sending the letter for Ouyang Feifei. In order to escape, Lin Jinshin hurriedly began to flatter Su Taiyu, praising him for being tall and handsome and looking very much like Andy Lau up close. However, Su Taiyu changed his mind and proposed to make friends with Lin Jinshin. In the face of the strong Su Taiyu, Lin Jinshin could only bite the bullet and agree. Since she agreed to be friends with Su Taiyu, Lin Jinshin has become his on-call follower, helping him with homework, running errands, and buying food every day. Su Taiyu's definition of friends is particularly harsh. For example, when he eats sesame sauce noodles, he must let the sesame sauce and noodles be separated. Not only that, Su Taiyu also took Lin Jinshin, who never skipped class, to skip class to the skating rink. Lin Jinshin couldn't stand steadily after putting on his skates, and was forced by Su Taiyu to follow the team. In the process, she was also thrown thrown out and hit the guardrail, injuring her arms and legs. At the ice rink, Soo Tae-yu was approached by foreign school gangsters because of his previous grievances, and he was outnumbered and fell into trouble. At the critical moment, Lin Jinshin handed him a throwing stick to help him beat away the gangsters. But the gangster also remembered this girl named Lin Jinshin. The matter was discovered by the school, and Lin Jinshin was also called to the office. Soo Tae-yu crumpled Ouyang Feifei's photo into a ball of paper in front of her. In order to protect Ouyang Feifei, Lin Jinshin could only lie to help Soo Tae-yu cover up. The teacher asked her what happened, and she just replied, I don't know, I don't remember. Because she skipped class to a bad place, the teacher punished her for campus service and had to clean the pool for 10 hours. When Lin Jinshin went out, she happened to meet Ouyang, and she used a grimace to cover up. She didn't dare to show her full self in front of the person she liked because she had low self-esteem. But this time, Ouyang appreciated what she did and asked her to skate together when she was free. This fate of mistake can make Lin really happy. She was even very happy when she cleaned the pool. When Lin Jinshin was cleaning the pool bathhouse, she accidentally heard rumors that Ouyang Feifei and Tao Minmin had children. Her mood instantly dropped to freezing point. Seeing the two walking in her direction, she hid in the pool in a panic. At this time, the girl's heart was instantly shattered. Before she could react, Soo Tae-yu appeared, and Soo Tae-yu cried worse than her after going ashore. They came to the rooftop and sat down. Lin Jinshin told Soo Tae-yu the secret he had heard, and Soo Tae-yu also admitted that he liked Tao Minmin. Both of them were heartbroken by the entanglement between their crush and each other's rivals, so they hit it off and agreed to form the Broken Love Front Alliance. They planned to break up Ouyang Feifei and Tao Minmin to fulfill their relationship. In order to implement the dismantling plan, the two began to pay close attention to the whereabouts of Ouyang Feifei and Tao Minmin. They followed them all the way to a dilapidated classroom, only to find that the two so-called children were actually raising a puppy together. This made the two finally let go of their hanging hearts. But the fact that the two of dogs means that the relationship is heating up. In order to prevent this from happening after school, Soo Tae-yu led his younger brothers to surround Tao Minmin and then rode a motorcycle from the crowd to shine. He took the initiative to confess to Tao Minmin, but Tao Minmin didn't think about it and rejected him directly. In order to be able to break up Ouyang and Tao Minmin, he thought of an excellent way. He asked Shang Lin to sincerely secretly take away the puppies raised by Ouyang Feifei and Tao Minmin. The two awkwardly hid on the rooftop with the puppy in their arms, and Soo Tae-yu showed rare tenderness when he held the puppy. His panicked appearance when he was urinated by a puppy and wrapped in a coat made Lin Jinshin also discover the innocence under his fierce appearance. The two discussed what name the puppy would be called, and Soo Tae-yu called it Andy Hua, with the same name as her idol. This casual naming has become a tacit secret code for the two, and it has also made the puppy from a tool to break up others to a bond they protect together. On the other side, Min Min kept crying after learning the news of the dog's loss, and she felt that it must have been taken away by the dog-catching brigade. However, one wave has not subsided, and another wave has arisen. Teacher Wang found this lucky letter in his book and was very angry, and then became furious in the class. He asked the student who sent the letter to admit it. After that, Lin Jinshin was called to the office to inquire about the situation, because someone reported her anonymously. At this time, Soo Tae-yu was reprimanded by another female teacher, Teacher Chen, in the office for other matters. Lin Jinshin faced the teacher's inquiry, and her heart was full of fear and panic. She was already uneasy about sending letters, and after being called to the office alone by the teacher, she was even more nervous and overwhelmed. Even ready to admit it. When Teacher Wang asked Lin Jinshin if he was the sender, Soo Tae-yu suddenly stepped forward and took the initiative to admit that it was the lucky letter he sent, helping Lin Jinshin take responsibility. Soo Tae-yu did this. Her face was full of astonishment, and her goodwill and change in Soo Tae-yu began to sprout. Prior to this, Soo Tae-yu was a notorious school bully in school, often fighting and violating rules and disciplines. But the act of taking responsibility for Lin sincerely exposes his kind and responsible side, and he is not exactly a bad student who only causes trouble. After the lucky letter incident, Lin Jinshin accidentally learned from Teacher Wang that Soo Tae-yu was actually a student in the mathematics and science honors class when he was in junior high school. In fact, Soo Tae-yu had very good grades in junior high school and once represented the school in the mathematics Olympiad. Out of curiosity, she began to investigate Soo Tae-yu's past. She learned through Ouyang Feifei that Soo Tae-yu, Ouyang Feifei, and Ma Si-yuan were friends. At that time, Soo Tae-yu bet with Ma Si-yuan to swim in the sea, causing Ma Si-yuan to drown. This incident made Soo Tae-yu fall into deep self-blame and guilt. After that, he left his original school, became rebellious and unruly, did not like to study, and became a school bully in the eyes of everyone. Lin Jinshin learned the truth, and her feelings for Soo Tae-yu gradually changed from initial fear and helplessness to understanding and distress. It's hard for girls to figure out. They say it's okay, but it's not okay. They say doesn't matter, which means does matter. In order to let Su Taiyu regain himself, Lin Jinxin offered to bet on roller skating with him. They agreed that the loser would unconditionally promise the winner one thing. Lin Jinxin, who obviously couldn't even stand still, gritted his teeth and persevered until the end even if he fell again and again and his knees were bruised. Lin Jinxin took the initiative to mention the past, and Su Taiyu was furious when he heard it. No matter how Lin Jinxin persuaded him, Su Taiyu never listened. When Lin Jinxin fell again and got up again and again, Su Taiyu saw her strong side. He was eventually overwhelmed by her tenacious willpower. Lin sincerely asked him to be a good student again. The outcome of their game no longer matters, and the real story begins with Su Taiyu's silence and compromise. The day after the two bet, Su Taiyu's transformation was already apparent. Instead of sleeping on his stomach, he dug out the dusty textbook from the side of the table and led the class to start studying hard. In order to go to McDonald's with Su Taiyu to study books, Lin Jinxin secretly dug out her old clothes and completed a disguise that could be called a disaster, but was extremely sincere. She changed into a short sleeve with light blue and white stripes, a monogram dress, a bright red lipstick that did not match her age, and her hair was stiffly combed into a shiny bun. When she appeared, she nervously clutched her bag belt. Her eyes dodged, but she couldn't hide her expectations, and she didn't realize that her look was far from girlish. This invitation is of great significance to both of them, and it hides the ignorant expectations of adolescence. And Su Taiyu seems casual on the surface, but in fact he is very nervous inside. He is just used to hiding his emotions with an uninhibited attitude. Lin Jinxin almost fell, and the moment she was taken into Su Taiyu's arms, she clearly felt his heartbeat. Her heart was both flustered and a little sweet, which made her feelings for Su Taiyu gradually change, and different feelings slowly grew from the initial ordinary classmate relationship. After the two arrived at McDonald's, they originally planned to study, but the appearance of school flower Tao Minmin broke this atmosphere. Tao Minmin took the initiative to talk to Su Taiyu, which made Lin Jinxin, who came back from shopping, feel turbulent in his heart. She was both uneasy and inferior and couldn't help but ask Su Taiyu what Tao Minmin said. The girl's jealousy and sensitivity are fully revealed at this moment. Tao Minmin saw Su Taiyu's efforts and knew what happened before him, so she also decided to help him. In the days to come, Su Taiyu began to study hard. I don't know why, but Lin Jinxin has been a little absent-minded recently. She has experienced many changes, and her eyes have always been on Su Taiyu, and she cares about Su Taiyu very much. She wanted to attribute Su Taiyu's awakening to herself. In those days, a girl was willing to respond to his profile, even if she had a good impression. When Lin Jinxin was writing the column of people I like on the information card, she hesitated. When Lin Jinxin and Su Taiyu went to the audiovisual store to buy review materials, Lin Jinxin saw Andy Lau's humanoid stand. She stepped forward excitedly and hugged the sign, her face full of joy and longing, which also allowed Su Taiyu to see her unknown and energetic side. Su Taiyu looked at Lin Jinxin, who was devoting himself to his love for his idol at this moment, and his eyes were full of tenderness and pampering. He did not laugh at her little madness, but made a serious promise to ask Andy Lau to sing to her in the future. Su Taiyu's promise was not a whim, and he has kept it in his heart many years later, and worked hard to fulfill it. Then Su Taiyu also took Lin Jinxin's hand. This intimate gesture made the girl's heart quietly germinate, and also made the atmosphere between the two ambiguous and sweet. On the way back, Lin Jinxin received Andy Lau's small humanoid gift from Su Taiyu. This gift is not only Su Taiyu's response to her love for idols, but also implies Su Taiyu's unspeakable feelings. She faced Su Taiyu's promises and gifts, and her shyness and joy also hinted that her feelings for Su Taiyu were changing. In order to skate with Su Taiyu, Lin Jinxin lied that he wanted to skate with Ouyang Fifan, so he proposed to Su Taiyu the idea of learning to skate. She also asked him what type of girl he liked. Su Taiyu immediately said 2 Japanese girls. In fact, Su Taiyu's favorite Noriko Sakai and Yuki Uchida both had short hair in that era. Subconsciously, Su Taiyu doesn't like Tao Minmin's type of girls. So who will he like? The answer is obvious. When a person lives in another person's heart, he will instinctively want to become a better version of himself. Lin Jinxin began to be critical of himself in the mirror, hoping to appear in front of Su Taiyu in a more stretched appearance. At this moment, the energetic sister-in-law keenly discovered her potential and offered to help her change her face, which became the catalyst for this transformation. After the transformation, Lin Jinxin finally got rid of the shackles of the school uniform. The clothes that my sister-in-law chose for her were mostly simple light color. These clothes fit the body but are not tight, which is not only in line with the identity of a high school student, but also cleverly shows the girl's body curves. When Su Tayu saw her again, the amazement in his eyes was the most direct recognition of this transformation. She didn't come to see Yang, but came to find Su Tayu. When she didn't know how to express her feelings to Su Tayu pushed her directly to Yang. But at this time, Lin Jinxin didn't seem to be as happy as before. In that third-grade mock exam, Su Tayu entered the 10th place in the hero list. When the whole school was shocked by him, the new director of discipline came, and on the first day of his tenure, he took Su Tayu, who loved to be in the limelight, and his stern attitude was very suffocating. His style was harsh and rigid, and he quickly clashed with his students. In the school celebration activities after the section examination, the discipline director should praise the top 10 students in the section examination according to the usual practice. However, he deliberately skipped Su Tayu, who was in 10th place, and he also falsely accused Su Tayu of cheating in the exam in public. He asked Su Tayu, how did he cheat on the results of this exam? This behavior instantly ignited the contradiction. The director not only publicly humiliated Su Tayu, but also punished him to run 50 laps in the playground. This made Lin Jinxin feel unfair for Su Tayu, and Su Tayu instantly fell off the altar. Everyone distanced themselves from him, only Lin was really willing to believe him. She not only explained to everyone that Su Tayu would not cheat, but also to save Su Tayu from openly confronting the director. She testified that Su Tayu really studied hard, but the director just asked her to hang out with Su Tayu less. In the end, Su Tayu fell to the ground completely due to exhaustion. After that, Su Tayu was banned from school by the director of instruction, and the whole school ushered in a major reform. Not only did the school have a fully closed learning, but they also wanted to cancel the school celebrations held over the years. Lin Jinxin looked at the Andy Lau doll pendant that Su Tayu gave him, and pondered for a long time. This is the hidden source of her courage, symbolizing companionship and strength. She was determined to unite her classmates in the school to openly confront the director of discipline. Speaking of which, Lin Jinxin and several people hand-painted leaflets in batches. The next day, the school was in an uproar over this matter, and even Yang and Tao Minmin participated. But this incident was soon discovered by the teacher. Lin Jinxin was punished to write a letter of repentance at home. Her family educated her for hours and urged her not to associate with people like Su Tayu. Lin Jinxin wrote a letter of repentance at home with a feeling of grievance and helplessness. She may not think that her behavior of speaking out for Su Tayu is completely wrong, but under pressure from teachers and parents, she could only reflect as required. At this time, she was full of dissatisfaction with the unfair treatment of the school and the loss of her parents not understanding her. On the night when Lin Jinxin wrote a letter of repentance at home, Su Tayu, who was worried about her, secretly came to her door, and he looked a little haggard. His clean face rose slightly, looking at the location of Lin Jinxin upstairs. When Lin Jinxin found him, he insisted that he was just passing by. The surroundings were quiet, as if there were only the two of them left in the world. The worry and concern in Su Tayu's eyes could not be concealed. This ambiguous atmosphere has become a beautiful fragment in the memories of the two of their youth. Lin Jinxin brought the puppy out, and Su Tayu was very happy to see that the puppy had grown so big. The puppy was stolen and adopted by the two together, and it carries the memories of their youth. Lin Jinxin saw the traces left by the infusion on Su Tayu's arm, and she specifically asked him about his fainting in the playground that day. In the face of her concern, Su Tayu immediately prevaricated. This escape was not impromptu, because Lin Jinxin had casually mentioned that he wanted to learn to skate before. Su Tayu seemed to have thick lines, but he quietly remembered them in his heart. He turned the meeting after confinement into an opportunity to fulfill his promise. At this moment, the dim street lamps sprinkled on the ice through the fence, outlining the figures of boys and girls. The ice rink is brightly lit at night, and the atmosphere is romantic and subtle. Su Tayu patiently taught Lin Jinxin to skate, and Lin Jinxin was very timid at first. She had difficulty even standing after putting on her skates and kept falling. Su Tayu told her that not being afraid of falling is the trick not to fall. He encouraged her to try bravely. Under Su Tayu's guidance and encouragement, Lin Jinxin gradually overcame his fear, and although he fell and was injured many times in the process, he never gave up. Eventually, she slowly mastered the art of skating. For Lin Jinxin, skating is something new that she has never tried before. This process made her braver and gradually got rid of her previous cowardice. A single dog outside the field happened to reflect the sweetness of the two. Soon the school celebration came as scheduled, and the director of teaching refused to let Su Tayu take the stage to accept the award, and criticized and humiliated him in public. Lin Jinxin knew that Su Tayu had made great efforts to achieve good results, so she took the lead in standing up and resisting. The director of teaching was just about to open his mouth to reprimand Su Tayu, and Lin Jinxin stood up. As she walked to the rostrum, she deliberately rolled up her skirt, deliberately violating the school's school rules on skirt length. She asked the director to punish her as a protest against the director's unfair treatment of Su Taeyu. At first, the director of instruction didn't take her seriously, but Lin Jinshin always insisted stubbornly and firmly, and she tried to use this extreme way to draw everyone's attention to this matter and make the director realize her mistake. Lin Jinshin's bravery impressed the students present. Ouyang Feifei, who was originally the first in the grade and Lin Jinshin had a secret crush on the school grass, took the initiative to stand up and admit that he had cheated on the exam, and he also asked to be punished with Lin Jinshin. He confessed that he had cheated in the exam, and according to the school rules, he must record major mistakes. The director of discipline told him not to joke about his future. Subsequently, Lin Jinshin's friends and Tao Minmin, who were regarded as school flowers by everyone, also spoke out one after another. Some of them admitted that they had violated school rules, and some expressed dissatisfaction with the teaching director's practices. In the end, the whole school was infected and stood up to support them. Together, they resist the director of teaching's irrational behavior and stereotypical teaching methods. With the support of everyone, Lin sincerely said firmly, "Only we know who I am, and only we can decide what we look like." This declaration is not only a declaration of one's own growth, but also a defense of the autonomy of youth, pushing the atmosphere to the peak. In the end, the principal agreed to their ideas and requests. The principal promised the students here that they would review and improve and deal with them relatively. After the school anniversary incident, the relationship between Lin Jinshin, Su Taeyu, Ouyang Feifei, and Tao Minmin gradually became closer. They met to go out to play together, and several people had a harmonious atmosphere on the way. Su Taeyu and Minmin got closer and closer, and Ouyang and Lin Jinshin slowly had a deeper intersection. They also played a game of truth or dare together, and their emotional relationship has quietly transformed. Previously, Ouyang Feifei and Su Taeyu had admitted that the girl they liked was on the scene. The atmosphere was very subtle, but they didn't clearly understand each other. When it was Tao Minmin's turn to answer the question, Su Taeyu suddenly mentioned the lucky letter, and everyone present was quite surprised. Tao Minmin faced Su Taeyu's question, and she instantly fell into a panic. Originally, she had always shown herself as a perfect school flower with excellent character and academics, and never thought that her lucky letter would be exposed. So the letter Lin Jinshin received was given by her, and the person who reported her was also Tao Minmin. In the end, Tao Minmin did not respond directly to this question. After Su Taeyu told Lin Jinshin this, Lin Jinshin was shocked. She couldn't believe that the school flower would do this. In Su Taeyu's view, Lin Jinshin's appearance is much better than Tao Minmin's. Lin sincerely looked at Su Taeyu and said seriously, if he is admitted to a different university in the future, he will continue to work hard. This sentence is full of her cherishing of the relationship. She was afraid that the distance would change Su Taeyu, and hoped that no matter what the future holds, he would be able to maintain his original appearance, and the friendship between the two would not fade. Su Taeyu responded to Lin Jinshin in a slightly teasing tone. Sesame sauce, and noodles still have to be separated. This seemingly nonsensical agreement is actually a manifestation of his sincerity in caring about Lin. He responded to her concerns in this lighthearted way. This also implies the hope that the connection between the two will not be cut off by distance. It's just that at that time, he didn't directly show his true emotions, and quietly hid the confession he wanted to say the most in his heart. In fact, Ouyang Feifei also likes Lin Jinshin now, but he is still a step late after all. It didn't take long for Lin Jinshin to see a photo of them camping together on TV. Experts say that a man in the photo is translucent, which means that something bad is about to happen. Lin Jinshin's birthday was approaching, and Su Taeyu specially prepared Andy Lau as a gift for her. But on the way home from buying gifts, he met an enemy who had a festival before. In order to protect the gift from being damaged, and in order not to implicate Lin Jinshin, Su Taeyu chose not to fight back and be beaten. After that, he didn't come to school for several days, and his classmates talked about it. When Lin Jinshin saw him again, his nose was blue and his face was swollen, and his attitude was indifferent, and the relationship between the two fell to a freezing point and fell into a cold war. Lin Jinshin asked him why he was fighting again. He chose to remain silent and not answer, which made Lin Jin so angry that he didn't want to pay attention to him anymore. As the relationship between the two became closer, Su Taeyu gradually realized that his feelings for Lin Jinshin had long surpassed that of friends. But he felt that his current self could not give her a future, so he chose to deliberately hide his heart. It took us a long time to learn that when a girl says she doesn't pay attention to you anymore, it's not that she really hates you, but that she cares about you very much. Very much about you. The night before Lin Jinshin's birthday, Su Taeyu asked his younger brother to bring Andy Lau a stand and a recording to Lin Jinshin. He told her to listen after the joint examination. Lin really thought that the Cold War between the two was over. So when she saw Su Taiyu appear at the door of the class, she happily pulled him to the rooftop, wanting him to fill in his classmate record. She was just about to speak, but Su Taiyu planned to leave on the pretext that his younger brother was still waiting for him. Lin Jinxin had not fully expressed his feelings on the rooftop, so Tao Minmin quickly came to the rooftop. At this time, the atmosphere began to become subtle, and Lin Jinxin vaguely sensed that something was wrong, but still had a glimmer of anticipation. Su Taiyu said that Tao Minmin confessed to him, and he agreed to Tao Minmin. Lin sincerely congratulated him with a forced smile. At this time, Lin Jinxin had already developed feelings for Su Taiyu. When she heard the news, she was deeply saddened. But she didn't want to show vulnerability in front of the two of them, so she could only congratulate Su Taiyu and Tao Minmin with a forced smile and wish them happiness forever. At this time, it was raining heavily in the sky, and Tao Minmin took out an umbrella to shield Su Taiyu, and the rain happened to cover Lin Jinxin's tears. She declined their invitation to go together. She left alone with her embarrassed body, and this relationship that had not yet begun seemed to come to an end. And just later, Min Min cried in class, and Lin Jinxin overheard that Su Taiyu did not choose to be with Tao Minmin, but chose to go abroad. She searched frantically, but never found any trace of him. In those days, 12,000 kilometers was the distance of farewell. It's just that sometimes at a certain moment, she feels like he will appear. Ouyang seems to be a replica of Su Taiyu. Su Taiyu told her that he had been dating Tao Minmin, which had broken her heart, and now Su Taiyu's sudden departure made her emotions fall to the bottom. She didn't understand why Su Taiyu left so hastily, and she was confused about what the relationship between the two was. The time they experienced together seemed to have become a vague dream, making her often fall into memories and confusion. After the joint examination, Ouyang Feifei told Lin Jinxin that Su Taiyu had recorded what he wanted to say to her on the cassette given to her. Lin Jinxin came to the skating rink where he used to skate with Su Taiyu, played the cassette, and finally learned Su Taiyu's long-hidden crush and the truth behind his previous actions. It turned out that Ouyang had long known that Su Taiyu liked Lin Jinxin. That night, Su Taiyu told him what he was thinking. It turns out that every encounter is carefully planned by Su Taiyu. He has been interested in the girl since the lucky letter. If you really like someone, you just don't have the courage to tell her. In addition, he also quoted "Here I Love You" from Neruda's 20 love poems and A Song of Despair to further tell the love. Previously, in the bookstore, Lin Jinxin suggested that he could copy poems by foreign poets to chase girls, and handed him this collection of poems. Su Taiyu not only remembered this small detail, but also applied the verses to Lin's sincere confession. At that time, he mistakenly thought that Lin Jinxin liked Ouyang Feifei, and at the same time, because he had to go abroad for treatment and other reasons, he could only choose to let go in this way, so that Lin Jinxin could pursue her so-called happiness. The words were full of helplessness and regret. Su Taiyu entrusted Lin Jinxin to Ouyang Feifei because Su Taiyu was going to go abroad for surgery, which was the consequences of the last car accident. The director of instruction hoped he would be able to start over when he arrived in the United States. The nurse also felt that he immigrated with his family after the operation, so why did he still read a collection of poems? In fact, it was only because he promised Lin Jinxin that he would continue to study hard in the future. Later, that night, the gangster used Lin Jinxin as a threat and beat Su Taiyu all night. Su Taiyu said in the recording, "Lin Jinxin, if you listen to this tape, look up at the sky. Because then I will know that the girl I like is looking at the same starry sky as me." He hopes that through such a romantic way, he can establish a connection between himself and Lin Jinxin across space. Even if the two are in different places, they can resonate with each other because they look up at the same starry sky together, which shows his intentions for this relationship. Many years later, Lin Jinxin lived a dull and even somewhat unsatisfactory life. She was doing an ordinary job and was in a relationship that wasn't happy. She looked at her classmates' record full of youthful memories, full of emotion. When Lin Jinxin slowly opened the sticker of the people he likes, it was Su Taiyu that caught his eye. But all this still passes with time after all. Eventually, she made up her mind to quit her job and broke up with her boyfriend. She got her due salary, took a long vacation, and resigned. People don't need to waste their lives in a place that doesn't care who you are. Lin really wanted to go to the concert of idol Andy Lau, but failed to buy tickets. Until this day, she came to buy milk tea and accidentally dropped Andy Lau doll pendant. It just so happened that a person picked up the pendant for her. She looked up and saw that the person was Andy Lau. He was holding a concert nearby and took the opportunity to come out to catch his breath. Andy Lau asked her if she was going to the concert at night. The name of his concert is Really Love You, which is Lin Jinxin's Chinese name. So he invited her to come to the concert tonight. After Andy Lau learned that she had no tickets, he gave her a staff member's phone. After she dialed, a familiar voice came from the other end of the phone. This staff member is Su Taiyu. After many years, the two finally reunited. Su Taiyu also fulfilled his promise when he was young and asked Andy Lau to sing to her. Long time no see. The two looked at each other and smiled and walked into the concert together. This happy ending is precisely a gentle irony of reality. The lost people in the movie can be reunited, but how many Lin Jinxin in reality have never seen their own Su Taiyu again? As the director said in an interview, "I gave the movie a happy ending because I knew that life was full of regrets." As Su Taiyu said on the tape, there are many things in life that are in vain, but we still have to go through them. This movie never teaches us to miss the past, but reminds us not to let our growing up selves fail the youth we once tried our best.